Welcome back to Let the Boys Watch, an entertainment podcast brought to you by Going Great Productions. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2007 drama, There Will Be Blood, based loosely off the Upton Sinclair book, Oil. Wow, I can't speak. Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Paul Dano, Ciarán Hinds, Kevin O'Connor, and Dylan Frazier. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Robbie, and alongside me is two of my favorite milkshakes of all time. One of our co-hosts, cousin Benny. How you doing?
Doing good. Some would call me an oil man.
I think they would. You look like one. And alongside us, another one of our co-hosts and our good friend Ryan. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Robbie. How are you?
Good. My voice is back, so hopefully I can get through this without mumbling through it like I did the intro.
That's quite all right. I still love you. I don't know about Benny, but I still do.
Thank you.
Hey.
Well, he already gave me shit.
Hey, if you get through the rest of this podcast, I'll Venmo you $5.
Oh,
thank
not
you.
bad.
A little break even.
So yeah, like Robbie said, this is Let the Boys Watch, and we are talking about 2007's, right? 2007's There Will Be Blood, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It was Paul Thomas Anderson week. There Will Be Blood edged out Punch Drunk Love and Boogie Nights. Hopefully those two maybe get into the vote rotation again because they're both very good and Benny hasn't seen them. But before we get into the movie, a couple of housekeeping items. One, send us an email, you fucks.
Yeah.
ltbwpodcast@gmail.com. It's not hard. We love getting them, and we'll read them on the air. And if you get it within the next 3 days or 4 days, you'll get a couple extra entries into the sweepstakes that Benny's going to tell you about in about 2 seconds. But first, follow us on Instagram. Let the Boys Watch pod. Find all of those cool memes that Benny creates and votes, all that cool stuff. But Benny, please tell them about the last 4 days of September sweeps.
September sweepstakes, baby. We have one more poll for you guys. It's going to be this Friday. If you don't know what September sweeps is, we are giving you an entry to win $100, either an iTunes gift card or a movie theater of your choice, just by voting in our polls. You can also write us an email, like Ryan mentioned before. That'll get you another entry into the poll. And for a beautiful, wonderful 3 bonus entries, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Please screenshot that and send it to us so we know you sent it. And yeah, we love hearing from you. So join us, ltbwpodcast@gmail.com for those emails, and Let the Boys Watch pod on your Instagram.
Damn right. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, I don't know where the bell is, but fucking subscribe. Yeah, Robbie's pointing it out right now. It's right down by his crotch.
There's my straw. My straw came down
across the room and drink up your subscriber milkshake. So Benny and
Yes.
Robbie, I believe you've seen this before, correct?
I have. I actually saw it in a actual movie theater.
Oh, look at this guy.
Look out.
Did you get snacks while you were there? Concessions?
I don't know. I don't remember. It's been so long. Maybe I had a couple in my cargo pants pockets. Maybe a couple Skittles and some Sour Patch Kids. I had them dug deep in there.
Yeah, in your Jinkos. Oh, Jinkos are out of style by then. So Benny, because you have never seen it, I'd love to hear like what you thought going into this movie. Like, did you have? Obviously, I think around that time you must have heard "I Drink Your Milkshake," things like that. But what were your thoughts going into this movie?
So I did not know the "I will drink your milkshake" line. I actually knew literally nothing about this movie. For some reason, I thought it involved trains. Maybe I was confusing it with 310 to Yuma. I don't know. But I remember I was very hype on No Country for Old Men when this movie came out. So I think because they were getting compared a lot, my small brain couldn't handle more than 2 movies. So I said, I'm never going to watch that movie. I love No Country for Old Men, and how dare There Will Be Blood win any Oscars over this movie. But yeah, so I really didn't know too much about it at all. And I went in pretty blind.
Well,
Nice.
it really did. It really didn't because No Country beat There Will Be Blood for Best Picture, and the Coen brothers beat Paul Thomas Anderson for Best Director.
But yeah, I think but There Will Be Blood definitely picked up a couple. But I was hoping for the clean sweep, babe.
Sweet guy.
It won an Oscar for best performance by an actor in a leading role.
I think that's
So,
what got my goat.
Yeah. And cinematography for
please.
Mr. Robert Elswit. But yeah, it didn't win for best picture. It didn't win for directing, writing, editing, art direction, or sound editing, but it was nominated for all of those. And funny story connection to No Country for Old Men. They were filming at the same time in a very similar area, and No Country for Old Men had to actually stop filming a few times because of all the smoke from the oil fire. So
Really?
yeah, very
I like
interesting.
that.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. So I guess let's do some overall impressions. Robbie, would you like to go first? You want me to go first since Benny was just talking?
You can go first, Ryan.
All right. Overall impressions. I mean, I haven't actually seen this movie in a long time. It's probably been like 15 years. Like I think I saw it like once when it first came out, and then again like pretty close after that, like maybe when it came out on like DVD or something. And then I hadn't seen it since. So I forgot like a lot of things about this movie. I like remembered some of the major points and stuff, but watching it this week, I definitely was like, oh yeah, that's right. This happened. And I forgot what happened with this. So I was actually going into this movie, I was actually kind of not interested in watching it. I don't know why. I just wasn't in like the frame of mind of wanting to watch this. But once I started watching it, I was getting into it and I was like, oh, all right, what's going to, I vaguely remember this. This happens. What's going on? I like this movie. There's a lot to like in it. The acting is superb. Obviously, Daniel Day-Lewis is amazing in it. Paul Dano is amazing in it. Even the kid HW, I forget Fraser. He's Fraser, I think. Fraser. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was awesome. I mean, he hasn't been in anything since, but he was really good. And the cinematography, I'm sure we'll hear from Robbie on that, our chief cinematography expert. But I like this movie a lot, but I also understand because there's a lot of hate for this movie on the
Really?
interwebs. Yeah. I was looking at, doing my research in anticipation of the show. And there's a lot of people that are like, I don't get this movie. Everyone loves this shit and nothing happens. It's stupid. I'm like, all right, well, pump your fucking brakes. But I can see why maybe some people wouldn't like it. I, however, do like it. But I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So, Robbie, Benny, whoever wants to go.
Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry. It's a couple burps back to backers. Yeah, like Ryan said, I saw the movie in the theater in 2007, and I believe I might have saw it when it came out on DVD after. But other than that, I haven't seen it in 15 years. Again, like Ryan said, as I was watching this movie, there were some parts that I was like, oh shit. Like I forgot that Paul Dano played basically two people, like Paul and Eli. And yeah, I don't know. I love the movie, in 2007, forgot about it. I don't remember leaving the theater. I was like, holy shit, Daniel Day-Lewis, what a fantastic performance. But then watching it again, it just made me realize what a great movie this was. Like a masterpiece in film, a masterpiece in directing, the acting, like you said, Ryan, Paul Dano, young HW, and Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, that's probably Daniel Day-Lewis. This is probably, in my opinion, a top 10 acting performance of all time. I mean, right up there with any De Niro, Pacino, DiCaprio on Wolf of Wall Street. It's he is just in almost every single scene in this movie. I think besides like two scenes, he's commanding. It's just an amazing performance. And like you said, the cinematography was top notch. It won an Academy Award, and why not? Just the landscape shots and some of the shots that were in it, and the score was phenomenal. I think out of every movie we watched so far, this is my favorite score. It's
Really?
everything yeah, I think it's everything I wanted in a score. Specific scenes, the tension, the nervousness, all those things that it had. Just subtle music that really, captured the moment of this every scene. But yeah, I came out of this movie in 2007 loving it, and I came out of it in 2023 loving it even more.
Nice.
For me, I mean, I'm not gonna really like tiptoe around it a lot. Like I was like in like I don't even want to know the word, but like entranced by this movie. Like I was so into it. Like I was almost speechless at the end of it. It was just so like gripping, and I guess that that has a lot to do with the performances you got. Like Robbie mentioned, the score just kept you on the edge of your seat. Just watching this guy, like it was always in him, and you saw bits of it, but like the spiral that he went on, and just the way Daniel Day-Lewis played this character. And we got to mention Eli as well, even though he's so hateable in the movie. He's like toe to toe with Daniel Day-Lewis the whole time, and it's just incredible. I said after the movie ended that he didn't get nominated for any awards for this, and I was like, how? I just thought he was so good too. But yeah, man, I mean, everything, all the shots, the set pieces, the direction, all the different stories and how they wove together. Um, just by the end of it, I was like, wow, this was incredible. I don't understand why I never saw this. I'm actually kind of happy I saw it now and not back then, because I feel like being older, I appreciated it way more than like maybe a surface level understanding I would have had as a 20-year-old. So yeah, I mean, I just, I really can't say enough good things about it. And, from being Mr. No Country for Old Men, I gotta say that this movie was better.
Wow.
And that's amazing. I love hearing it. But I have to agree with you. Like when I saw it as what, 24-year-old, the only thing I really appreciated was the performances. But now watching it again, the the way it was shot, like you said, the set pieces and just the cinematography blew me away second time around. I I I was amazed by it, speechless. Like you said, when I turned this movie off last night, I must have went on the internet and read about it for an hour before I went to bed. That's how much I loved it.
Yeah, it was like I again, and this is like one of those things where I hate watching movie trailers. I hate watching even like video games I want to play. Like if I know I'm going to play it, I don't want to see anything from it. I don't want to be spoiled in any way, shape, or form. And like this movie is a perfect example why. Like me not knowing anything and just going in completely dry, like I felt experiencing it just made it that much better than having like an idea of what was to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Benny, when people try to tell me something about a film, they're like, "No, it doesn't spoil anything." I'm like, I don't want to fucking know
Yeah.
what font the credits are in. Like, don't tell
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
anything at
Yeah.
all. And
Yeah.
people get like insulted. I don't understand.
Well, I'm going through it right now because not to take a huge tangent, but they're remaking the Final Fantasy VII game and breaking it up into different games. The
Right.
first one was incredible. The second one is coming out early next year, and it's starting to like they're starting to release like gameplay and trailers and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And I've only watched a little tiny bit of it because of how much I enjoyed the first one. Like I just want to go into this one fresh. I know I'm gonna love it. I have complete trust in it. I don't need to see anything. I just want to like be surprised by all of it.
Yeah. I still think I need to get a PS5 to just to play that game, but
Dude, it's so good. It's
with
so
all
good.
my
We'll
abundance
do
of free time, I don't know when I'm gonna play.
yeah, we'll table this conversation for let the boys play.
Oh, I love it. I wanted to mention one quick fun fact before we move on. I didn't want to interrupt you guys, but do you guys know who the composer was?
Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, right?
That's correct. From Radiohead. So
I
Big
didn't know that.
Radiohead guy.
yeah,
Big Radiohead guy.
yeah. No, that when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, really? And then I looked up and he scored a bunch of different movies, especially Paul Thomas Anderson's.
The
So
whatchamacallit, sorry,
no, go ahead.
like you talk about trailers, and there's some times when I watch a trailer and then I'll watch a movie, and then you'll be like 2 hours in. I'm like, oh well, that part didn't in the trailer we didn't get to yet, so and it kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, going back and watching this trailer, it's an amazing trailer with the actual like score in the trailer. It's just a fantastic trailer. And it got me hyped up, and I was ready to fucking start drilling in the back of my yard to see if I could find any oil down there.
Uh, all right, should we do some ratings? Let's do some plum scales. Does anyone want to go first?
Not me, no.
Oh,
Ryan, do you want to go first? I can go second.
yeah, I'll go first. Whatever. So I actually struggled with this rating a bit, because I really like a lot of things about this film. Um, but at the same time, like I don't know if I'll watch it for another 10, 15 years. Um, I settled on a 9.2. I think it definitely could be higher or lower. I don't know. Like I said, I really like this film, but I don't want to watch it again. And that watch rewatchability for me, not again, but like not for a while. Rewatchability for me is big as far as like how I rate things. I mean, I definitely take into account like all these elements, the cinematography, the score, the acting, the story, all that stuff. So that's why it's getting such a high grade. But like, yeah, I typically rate movies higher the more I want to watch them. And this one, like, I loved watching it, but I don't care if I watch it again anytime soon. I don't know if that makes sense. But that's how I feel.
No, it does. I mean, and you've mentioned a bunch of times that, rewatchability is high for you. Like that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Rob, you want to go last?
Sure.
So my previous thought was, if this movie is a 10, I like, as soon as it ends, I say that was a 10. And I didn't do that with this movie. And I was thinking about it like all day today. And I made the post that we're gonna post tomorrow with the scores. And the first thing that I put down was 9.8. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I was working with Anthony today, and he saw it and he's like, "Ooh, am I getting a sneak peek?" And he saw the score and he was like, "Wow, that's really high." And I was like, "Yeah." But you know what? Like, honestly, I thought it was going to be a 9.9. And I was like, well, what can really be a 9.9? Like, if you're going to give something a 9.9, like what's dinging it zero point 0.1 points? And I was like, maybe I should just give it a 10, because like it really, like, I loved it that much. And honestly, like, I was going to stick with my 9.9 until I was just talking about it and hearing you guys both talk about it. And I am going to change it and make it a 10, because it really, like, was just, I don't know, front to back, like, just such an awesome movie. And for me, the acting performances just like make it shoot to that next level, where like, what's getting better than this as far as this movie goes? I love the story. The acting was fantastic. The score was fantastic. Like Robbie said, when it was over, I just wanted to read more about it and dive in more. And yeah, I don't think that anything, you could make anything better about this movie than what was already done. So I am going to give it a 10, my second overall 10.
Love it. Robbie.
Fantastic. Yeah, so like I said previously in my opening plum thoughts, the just everything, again, I'm not going to go into detail about that stuff, but just everything that I love, this movie has. It has phenomenal acting, great cinematography, great story, great directing. It's I don't know, it was, again, it was like Shawshank, 2.5 hours, but I didn't check my phone. The pacing was great. You started off 14 minutes with absolutely no dialogue whatsoever, and it just was so gripping just to see Daniel Day-Lewis walking around and becoming the man that he was, I guess, destined to become. And it's just a great movie in a great time period, like the Industrial Revolution. Like, it just shows you how these people just shaped the country, the things that they did to get the country where it is. And it's basically a movie about greed and control. and just, two different people from two different backgrounds, but in the end, the same person, if you think
Yep.
about it, right? Daniel's a politician. He'll say anything and do anything to get his way. But so is Eli,
Yep.
right? Eli's using his manipulation tactics in the form of Jesus Christ and preying on people and religion. So in the end, they're the same person. And I just love that story about, good versus evil. But is it really good versus evil? Is it evil versus evil? And you see these people today, like all these tech companies, these tech people, Mark Zuckerberg, using fucking, being done by his girlfriend as motivation to start Facebook, and how evil these people are to get what they want. And it's always been like that in America, and it's always going to continue to be like that. So that's why I love this story. And I, like Benny said, I was going back and forth the entire day and even last night and on my plum rating, but I have to, I mean, I can't call it a masterpiece and love everything about it and not give it a 10. So I'm going to give it a 10 because I think it's fucking absolutely fantastic, this movie.
Yeah, I'm with you the whole way. And just a quick little story, like when it started. So I have this weird issue. I don't know if it's a specific app, but there are times when I'm watching something and there's no dialogue, like all the sounds going on around me, but for some reason the voices aren't working and I have to like restart the app. And for some reason, then my center channel kicks in. So the first 14 minutes of the movie, I'm like, am I missing dialogue? Is there like a voiceover here? Like what's going on? And when I finally got the baby crying, I was like, okay, good. I'm getting the voices. But yeah, I had that same thing. And I'm not going to take credit for this not quote unquote theory, but it is something I read. I think it was on Collider about the ending and just how, like you said, Robbie, it's, the story of these two men and Eli being, I'm the third revelation, which is in the Bible or whatever. The first revelation is Moses giving the tablets. I forget what the second one was, maybe Jesus teachings to man. And the third revelation was any man who had God inside of them that was able to speak, about God's will or what he wanted done. And that was the whole third revelation thing. And by the end of the movie, that is what Daniel realizes about himself, is like he's the one that has the power of God with oil. So that whole I am the third revelation at the end of the movie is just the culmination of that story and that rivalry between the two of them, where one thinks that they're the third revelation and they have the power of God, when in reality it's Daniel. And I just love that, and I love the story that this movie told. And like you said, it was just a masterpiece for me.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd get into, because this discussion doesn't really fit into like our segments necessarily, but just the fact that, and Robbie already brought it up, but that they're two sides of the same coin. They're using the power that they have, whatever that may be, as to influence the people around them to get their way, whether it's Eli with the church or Daniel with his oil and his money and his influence and whatever. And it definitely was, I love the allegory of America and like the struggle, the power struggle between religion and capitalism or money or business, whatever you want to say, for like the control of America's society or whatever. And how, like, sometimes one wins, sometimes the other, but and sometimes they're the same. I love that part about this movie. And I mean, to be loosely based on Upton Sinclair's book, which, if you don't remember your high school social studies class, he wrote The Jungle as well. So to be kind of loosely based on that, but also just highlighting, the way that the capitalists just took over this country in that time period, like just so interesting. Like, you don't think about how they really like just took this country for their own, and are still doing it. And same, you could argue the same for religion, I think.
Well, that was kind of one of the points that they brought up in the article that I read about how,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can say religion has power over everybody still in this country. But, you know, there are so many people in this country that don't believe, and they can get through their day just fine without God.
Right.
But try, no matter how green you think you are, tell me one point in your day where you didn't use a plastic or you didn't use electricity that was brought to you by burning oil. Like, oil is like omnipresent in our whole life. Like, even if you think you're not using it, you're using it for something. And like the power that these people have had over the country, and just the way they showed that through Daniel, I just thought was incredible. And it was, you know, it makes you think of like the Rockefellers, you know, the steel companies, and you know,
Carnegie's, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, and it even, like, I was getting Aviator vibes from this movie at one point, just like the spiral that he went on and how he ended up alone in this huge house by the end of the movie. Um, yeah, it was just like I said, it was the first thing I said. Well, you know, I always ask me as soon as the movie ends, what'd you think? And I just said interesting. Like, it was just so interesting, and I was just, like I said, so caught up in the movie, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of it.
Yeah, and I find it so not funny, but like I said, like when I look back in history and the things I love, it's usually like, all right, I like the Revolutionary War, but like I said before, this time period is again so fascinating to me because of how limited they were in technology, but how much they actually got done. And how much, like I said, it shaped America. Like you watch that series on History Channel, like the men who shaped America, and it's so true. Like your Rockefellers, your Carnegies, your Fords. Um, yeah, they just swooped up everything. Standard Oil was swooping up everything, and just, you know, all the money that Rockefeller was making. And I also find it funny, like in the movie Eli, obviously, and like how he's got like kind of poo-pooing Daniel. But like if you look at back on history, religion and all that stuff, like how many wars were started because of religion, or how many people were killed and persecuted because of religion? So it's such a hypocrisy in the way Eli thinks. But obviously, you know, he doesn't like what Daniel does, but he sure as hell, you know, wants the money that Daniel's, you know, making off of oil and off of the land. So yeah, that's what fascinated. Like again, like 24-year-old me, maybe I got the you know, the overall theme of this movie, but like as I got older and like 40-year-old me, it just it hits, as the kids say, it hits differently. So
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. And I think, like, one of the, it's kind of a throwaway line, but like to me, it hit was at the end of the movie when Eli comes begging, and you know, you know, it's the end of the 20s, and he just, that line where like, oh, the economy is so bad, and like you just see how much money that Daniel has, that's not even a concern. I'm gonna sleep in my bowling alley and eat my fucking steak when I wake up, and like whenever I wake up. Like, it's just, you know, it's such like a little throwaway line, but to me, it's like, you know, it just reminds you of like what was actually going on during some of these times. So again, just like you said, the little details, and you know, the commentary on America in that time, I just thought was fantastic.
And it's funny that he said that with the fucking humongous cross
Yeah,
jewelry
iced out.
accessory there. Yeah. Yeah.
what do he say? He said, what do he say? The Lord didn't let me know about the financial hardships that were coming.
Yeah, something like that.
My investments or whatever. Yeah. See, easy to be ice cold when you got all that fucking diamonds on your
Oh,
chest.
believe,
You
yeah.
know what's funny too? Like, I'm just thinking about it right now. Maybe, excuse me, maybe I'm stretching a little bit here, but Daniel starts out the beginning of the movie as like a silver miner,
Right.
and at the end of the movie, Eli comes in with that silver cross. I wonder if that, like, that was an intentional thing that they did, but
Maybe.
it just kind of clicked in my head right now.
Yeah. Could be. Now, you know, you think maybe Daniel was just like, I fucking mine that silver, you little
Yeah.
prick. What did you do? Nothing. You just screamed and yelled at your congregation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dragged my body 10,000 miles on a rocky plane to get to where I am.
It's crazy. Um, I'm sure who knows, we'll probably talk about this stuff again, but should we get into some segments?
Let's do it.
Um, Robbie, would you like to do favorite characters or least favorite characters first?
Let's go least favorite. I think we did favorite last week.
Okay. Would you like to start?
No, because I'm still struggling to pick a least favorite character.
I know it's pretty hard in this movie to pick a least favorite. I'll start just because I have one in my brain, but this is hard because even the fucking assholes or the people you don't like. I mean, technically, you want to say Daniel's the protagonist, but he's a piece of shit. And Paul Dano's a piece of shit, but like they're great characters. It's it's easy for them to be your favorites. I'm gonna go with I forget his full name, but Bandy, the guy, the holdout, not because any reason, but basically just he wanted Daniel to come talk to him. And I don't hate the character. I don't know. He just annoyed me for no other reason. I have no real reason,
That's
but he
fair.
just annoyed me.
That's fair.
That's
Hey.
fair. There's a lot of people that know me in plenty of movies.
Yeah. Just I don't know. Like, but I I mean, I'm no fan of religion. You guys, I'm sure, know that about me. And I don't care. Like, anyone can practice any religion they want, but when, like, for him to just be completely like, oh, you want to lease my land? Go get baptized in our church. Like, I just find that to be such a weird request as far as like, that's what I want for you to lease this land. I mean, I understand it's like, now you're part of the congregation, you're part of the flock. Like, I can trust you, quote unquote. I don't know, but he just annoyed me. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
picking him.
I think that was Eli too, turning the screws on that one. He probably
Oh, 100%.
like
Yeah.
went to him and said, do you want to go back to back, Robbie? You want me to take middle? I never really take middle.
Yeah, sure, if you don't mind.
All right. So again, in a 10 movie, like there really needs to be not a bad character in the movie. So the one thing I will say is my least favorite character by default, I guess, is the character played by Paul F. Tompkins, Prescott. And that's because he wasn't in the movie as much as I would have liked. The one thing I saw was that Paul F. Tompkins was in this movie. And I don't even think he said a line. Because I remember like towards the middle of the movie, I was like, wait, where the hell is he? So it's just my shout out for Paul F. Tompkins. I like him as a comedian. I think he's a funny dude. And I just wish I got to see a little bit more of him.
Good choice.
Nice. Um, my least favorite character is probably, again, this is just on an annoyance factor. My least favorite character is probably Baby HW for crying too much in a couple of scenes. And at about 8, 9 o'clock at night when I watch the movie, I don't want to hear a baby crying that late at night. And maybe I'm not ready for fatherhood by watching that. Maybe that's saying more about me than Baby HW. But yeah, Baby HW. I know calm it down, and thank God Daniel put some rum on your bottle to stop you from crying. So yeah, Baby HW, tone it down a bit on the screaming and crying. We don't need that in my movie.
But that was such a
Imagine,
cool. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, imagine like nowadays you're rolling around with your baby just in a box, like he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you get some dirty looks from other parents.
they
And
probably
it
scream at
was
you.
it was such a cool foreshadowing too, the way he got baptized with the oil. Like
Yep.
he got it rubbed on his forehead in the beginning of the movie. Again, just a little thing that I noticed, and I was like, all right, how is this going to come into play? And obviously with all the religious undertones of the movie, I thought that was just like such a cool little thing they did right in the beginning there.
Yeah, I don't want to carry my baby, in a basket in the supermarket, and everybody's yelling at me, bastard from a basket, and I have to fucking run out before paying.
All right, so no one's going to be able to steal your favorite character this week, Robbie.
No, thank God. I think I didn't even set it up that way, but thank God I'm able to go first. Uh, yeah, my favorite character. I mean, I'm sure I'll have multiple of the same picks. I think maybe, but my favorite character is Daniel Plainview. I understand he's a, you know, piece of shit, greedy bastard, manipulative bastard, but it's just one of my favorite performances of all time. He makes the movie. He is the movie. Like I said, he's in every single scene except for maybe one or two. Everything about him is just amazing from him. And I'm not going to get into every specific scenes, but when Eli comes to get his Monday and he smacks him around and dunks his head in the oil, to the I drink your milkshake scene, the way he's just moving his body around and just fucking playing that character in that scene. The competition scene, that was just an amazing, monologue and speech. Everything about him, the way he played this character, from the voice to the probably the best mustache on screen of all time, I think. I mean, the guy killed it. That was a thick mustache. I wish. But yeah, there's so much I could say. But I'll leave it for some scenes that I liked about him. But Daniel Plainview makes the movie one of the greatest characters to ever grace the screen. And like I said, in my top 10 characters and performances of all time. So there's nobody else I could have picked.
So I told you guys there was something I wanted to say last night, but I wanted to save it for the podcast. And there's a couple things that took me out of the movie by Daniel Day, and I don't think it's his fault at all, but there was just a couple times and lines that he sounded exactly like Larry David playing George Steinbrenner. and I almost lost it a couple of times. And one of them was when he was getting baptized in the church. I wish I wrote down the lines, but there was just a couple things that he said. I was like, oh my God, that is George Steinbrenner from Seinfeld right there. But yeah, you're right, Robbie. Just what a fantastic performance. I'm gonna have to go chalk too. Sorry, Ryan, and take Paul Dano. He's
Fuck
just
you guys.
I'm sorry. I mean, like, come
That's
on,
okay.
the two easiest picks in probably any movie we've ever done besides
Probably, yeah.
Terminator. Yeah, he was just like I said. I mean, anybody that can go toe to toe with Daniel Day-Lewis like that, and you felt like they were on the same level, is something to be commended. And that's saying something too. Is like how much I hated him as a character, like just his smugness. All the performance he put on in the church and trying to find ways to needle Daniel, even though, like Robbie said, he's just such a piece of shit. But you can't help but root for him against Eli. He's just from the second transitions over to Eli to the absolute last scene of the movie, he was just right on par with Daniel. So it's got to be Paul Dano for me.
Fair. And I mean, we could very easily maybe in the future have Daniel Day-Lewis week and Paul Dano week. I mean, they're both in some amazing movies. Daniel Day-Lewis, obviously, Gangs of New York. This one, Last Mohicans. Paul Dano's in a bunch of good ones. Little Miss Sunshine, Swiss Army Man, which is a great film. If Everything Everywhere All at Once, same director did that. It's
Cool.
with Paul Dano and Harry Potter. I mean,
I'm into it.
Can't beat that. And a couple other Ruby Sparks is a movie I like with Paul Dano, and he's in a bunch of things. But so if you picked Daniel and you picked Eli, I'm gonna pick Paul Dano as Paul because technically that's it. No, I'm just kidding. I think of all like the other characters, I mean, I think I have to pick HW. I thought his performance was great. He was the scene as an adult when he goes into Daniel's office is obviously fantastic. But like all the scenes with him as, not as the baby, but as the like 10-year-old ish in that realm, that kid actor was great. Going deaf and like just everything he was going through and all that. So I'll pick him. I mean, if I went first or second, I probably would have picked one of your guys, but I really like this kid in this, and this character is very good. And then seeing him as an adult and Daniel just dropping the fucking orphan hammer on him like a piece of shit. Wild.
It just popped into my head, and like Daniel almost reminds me of like Vince McMahon. Like nothing fucking matters except making money, and I don't even care if it's like at the expense of my kids.
Right.
So just so many different vibes from him. Like I said, Aviator, Vince McMahon. It's just, I love it.
He's
Don't you?
an industrialist. I think that's, I don't know if it's always true, but that's probably most people's ideas of how these type of people are, where it's just money at all costs. I don't give a fuck about anyone else, and I'll step on anyone's neck to get to what I want. Whether that's control, money, power, whatever, influence. Sorry, Robbie, you gonna, I think, say something.
No, basically the same thing. But I was gonna. It's a question. Like, don't you think like these people are like you have to be wired that way? I feel like a
Yeah.
sociopath. I feel like nobody that's in control of things are generally nice people. Like whether you're CEO of a hedge fund or you know Facebook or Tesla. I feel like you have to have that in you, like
That
as a
kind of killer
cold
instinct, kind
bastard.
of.
Yeah, killer instinct,
Yeah.
like sociopath type person. It just ingrained in you.
Yeah, I think that there's probably a handful of like CEOs slash founders of companies that like the company just took off and they like, they made a bunch of money and whatever. But yeah, the people most times, if you're in the C-suite, you have some sociopathic tendencies because you have to be ruthless to like get to that next level. Like not anyone, but most people, nice or not nice, can probably get to middle management. But when to get higher than that, like, or to have your own company be successful, you have to stamp out competitors and just fucking be a killer, I guess.
It's interesting too. Like, I wonder if HW was his real son, if he would have done the same thing. And I kind of
Great
feel like
question.
maybe not, but I don't know, man. If you've brought him up since
Baby.
literally he was an infant, but he's so ruthless that I don't know, but you can't even say he killed his own brother too, because it wasn't his brother. But the fact
Right.
that he thought of him as his brother for so long and he still had no problem pulling that trigger, I don't know. They're two kind of really difficult questions to answer because of the body of work you saw from Daniel, and just all of his ruthlessness throughout the whole entire movie. I want to say that he would still do it even if it was real son, but I don't really know.
I don't know. I think there was, I'd have to watch it again, but I feel like there was times when he showed he cared to HW Daniel when no one else was around. Now, clearly, like when other people were around, he was, hamming it up for in his mind. Like, if I'm a family man, I look more trustworthy and things like that. But I'm pretty sure that there was times when it was just them two that he showed like he cared. But I mean, the second that HW went deaf, he was just like, fucking, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah, I
like
gotta
you
go to
mentioned,
conductor.
yeah, like you mentioned, there's all those scenes where like they're sleeping in the bed together and he's like holding him, and
Right.
he is super sweet with him for a lot of the movie in the beginning. Like even the whole quail scene between the two of them,
Right.
he's so fatherly towards him. Like you don't see any of that hint of, like, you can kind of see the businessman behind, the behind his character throughout it, but he does take the time to teach HW and be a father to him.
Right. But I wonder, like, in my head, I'm thinking of like multiple things, but like, did Daniel evolve to become the ruthless businessman? Probably. Did he have some of those elements in him? Yeah, of course. You don't get successful without that. But like, was then his whole, for lack of a better word, shtick with HW, was it to build that relationship so HW trusted him and he could like manipulate him and use him the way he wanted? Or did he actually have some of those fatherly feelings for him and then he just conveniently was able to use him? I don't know. I mean, maybe at first it was that, and then it kind of slowly evolved as he gained more power and more influence. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was a snowball effect. Like, as he saw how much power he was getting, like by the end, nothing mattered except more power, more money. And honestly, I really think at the end of the day, it was more power than money. I don't know that he really cared about the money. Like, he had that dream of having the big house, but I don't think the money ever mattered. It was the power that he got from all of that.
Yeah, could be. All right. Should we do scenes?
Let's do it.
Let's start with let's start with least favorite because I think this will be quick slash maybe semi non-existent with 2 10s. Do you guys
Yeah.
have any least favorite scenes?
You want to start again, Ryan? You want Robbie start?
I mean, I guess I'll start because I mean, you guys both had the 10s. I'm curious to what you guys think. I think, I didn't have a 10, but 9.2 is wicked high for me. There's not a lot of scenes I didn't like. The the only thing that came to my head was basically the scene where HW gets injured and goes deaf just because I don't like seeing children injured. I don't really have like a good scene that was like my least favorite. There was times, in the church scenes that I was like, all right, like come on. But it was good for the movie and I liked it as a scene, but I'll go with that just because I don't really have a lot of choices that came to my head.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna bite what you said a little bit and say that my least favorite was the church scene with the arthritis, even though still a great scene for the movie and
Yeah,
moves the story
it's
and
just
shows you,
stupid.
yeah, what's going on. It gave me the vibes of that. Have you seen the clip from COVID-19 of that one pastor that's like COVID-19? And he like
Yeah,
blows it and like everybody's like cheering, going nuts.
yeah.
Um, so it just for giving me those vibes, I hated it. But again, like I said, not a bad scene. Just the one that gave me the ick the most.
I kind of want to go to like one of those services just to like check it out, but I feel like I would get upset and leave. But I'm
Yeah.
just like interested, like to see what it's all about. But I probably won't.
Mega Church Ryan.
Yeah. I remember I saw back in the day, I went to this thing where it was like these fucking muscle dudes were like ripping phone books and like breaking baseball bats, like because God gave them the power to do these things, but they were like fucking monster muscle dudes. That's the closest I've gotten.
My favorite one is that guy on the internet when he's in church and he's talking to the pastor and he said, I'm not gay no more. I likes women. Woman. I am delivered. So thank God the good Lord got the gayness out of him. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite scenes of clips of all time.
Love it. Uh,
Um,
yeah. Any least favorite scenes for you, Robbie?
my least favorite scene isn't a scene that I like actually hated because I didn't really hate any scenes. It's my least favorite scene because of how hurtful it was to HW, and
Uh,
that's when he tells him that he is an orphan, and just scorches HW because he wants to follow in his father's footsteps and start a business down in Mexico. Drilling for oil, and
yeah.
it's just a ruthless, and it just shows you like who Daniel has become and how broken he is and how his dream of being alone is fulfilled and how he doesn't care about anybody but himself, and it's just so hurtful. I mean, yeah, leaving him on the train but bringing him back as a 10-year-old, of course that has long lasting effects on a child's mind and brain, but to go your whole life thinking that somebody's your dad and he just shits on you and tells you he's not, it's just a devastating scene, and it's an extremely hurtful scene, and it captures all various emotions of how much you hate Daniel and how much you feel bad for HW. Though you couldn't feel bad for HW enough in this movie. And then he gets hit with the orphan and the bastard from a basket as he's walking out is
Mhm.
just insane to me. So that's my least favorite scene because of the emotional toll it kind of took.
Good choice.
Yeah, it is a good choice. Any consolation, or the consolation is he couldn't hear him screaming bastard in a basket on his
That's
way
true.
out.
I forgot
That's
about
true.
that. It's actually good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Piece of shit. All right. Favorite scene, Robbie, yet again.
Holy hell.
No one's stealing your shit.
Oh man, I got so many favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Um, fuck. This is tough. Uh I'm gonna have to go chalk and go with the final scene, the drinking milkshake scene. I
Yep.
mean, it's just a tour de force of acting from Daniel Day-Lewis. It just shows you who Eli truly is. And I feel like that's mainly, I don't want to generalize the religious population, but I feel like that's mainly who those type of preachers are.
Yeah.
Or snake oil salesmen, getting money and manipulating people for their own gain. And I just love how, like Benny said previously, how Daniel just tells Eli that I am the third revelation, that I am like God, like Benny said, how much oil controls the country and it still does to this day. It's just an amazing scene. I mean, anybody that eats a steak with their hands is fucking A+ to me. I don't know if he was chugging if that was vodka or water, but it's just, and Paul Dano's so good in that, but Daniel Day-Lewis just acts circles around him in that scene. Just like I said, the way his body is, the way he moves and he's dancing, and then the whole milkshake thing is just fantastic. And then him just screaming drainage at top was just amazing. And I don't know, it's just one of my favorite scenes. It ends the movie perfectly, and it's not funny, but it is funny when he smashes him over the head with the bowling pin and he kills him, and then he's just sitting there with no remorse. And then his butler comes down and he's like, Mr. Daniel. And then Daniel goes, I'm finished. And then the movie just ends like that.
Yeah.
It's one of the best endings of all time. And like Benny said, like, I'm sure when it ended, he was probably like, looked at I and was like, what the fuck? What the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah. No,
So
it was so great too.
Scene.
And I don't think it's an open ending. Like I'm pretty confident that the butler calls the police and he goes to jail, and that's how his life ends. Like, and I think that that's what that I'm finished line is too. I think he just thinks like,
really? You think so?
Yeah, I really do. Maybe it's not so open ended. I mean, maybe it is open ended then, because that's what I feel like that I'm finished is just like he's done it all. Like at this point,
I've
like
conquered my last hurdle.
Yeah, and
this
like
was it. Yeah,
whatever. Like I'm done. Like what else is there for me to do at this point? And yeah, and I don't think, and I think that's a juxtaposition of like him killing his quote unquote brother, Henry or whatever his name was,
Henry,
and getting away with it, like because he had something to offer and it was just a different time. And now this is the 1920s. Yeah, that's how I took it. Like he's finished, he's done. He's gonna go to jail now, and that's it.
I don't know. I disagree. I mean, I don't think it's similar to Henry, a man of his influence and wealth and power. Probably not. I'm sure the butler just took the body out with the garbage, and I mean, he knows where his bread is buttered.
I could
That's
see
what
it.
I think. But
yeah, I could see it. But the thing that made me not think so is the fact that Eli comes in saying like he's famous now, like he's got this radio show, and like as powerful as Daniel is, the fact that he killed somebody, I guess it's maybe not nationally known, but like known in their circles. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a way out of that for him.
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about this when with Henry's death, like back then, like you could say or do like almost anything if you are influential enough. Like, if you're a poor person, and someone just says Benny killed that guy, and you don't have any influence, like that's it. You're going to jail. You might even put to death for something that you didn't even do. Daniel Day-Lewis could just be like, he fell. I don't know. And the butler would be like, yeah, I saw him fall. And then it's that open and shut case. Like there's no DNA. There's nothing. That's it.
You know what, too? Like, I agree. Maybe it is a little bit more open, and then it could have gone either way. But I almost don't want to debate it because, like, you almost don't even need it. Like, that's it.
Oh, no.
That's just the end. And I love that we're having this conversation now, but I almost don't want it to like taint the way I think of the end of the movie, because, like Robbie said, just the way that's how it ends with I'm finished, and it's so great. I mean, yeah, that's just kind of what I extrapolated from it, but I could 100% see your point too, where he just gets thrown out and no one ever hears from him again.
Yeah. No, and I see your point too. Like him saying I'm finished is like I've done it all. That's it. I'm done. I don't care what happens to me anymore. But I also kind of see it like I'm finished. You're my butler. Clean up this mess. Like I'm
Yeah,
finished with dinner.
yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Robbie, any thoughts? You break the stalemate here.
No, I just think that he said, "Hey, Butler, come get my steak and my alcoholic beverages, and then when you're at it, clean this guy's brain matter off the bone thing because I got a 7-10. I'm about to split. So yeah, I honestly like that thought didn't even come to my head that he was just thinking like what Benny said. I didn't think that. I just think that it's a good thought. It's something that maybe there will be blood too. We'll come out and when Danny
Maybe.
goes to jail. But I just took it as, hey, I'm done with this. Clean this up. You're my butler, and I'm going to go back into the hallway and shoot a bison head from 500
Yeah.
feet away.
I also thought that 25th hour was going to be about Edward Norton dying from a dog bite. So take it as you will.
All right. Well,
No,
it's a good point.
yeah, I totally see where you're coming from, why you would think that. I don't think that's what it was, but you could like maybe Paul Thomas Anderson said something about it or something, but either way, I don't care. To be honest, I
Me
think the
neither.
ending
Yeah.
is almost is perfect. We don't need it doesn't matter what happens after. He's just like, I'm finished. I've did what I was supposed to do. I bowled a strike here on this man's skull.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, if you're right and I'm wrong, it doesn't take away anything for
No.
me.
Yeah. And same
But
vice versa. Yeah.
yeah, but you know what we need to do? I think we need to have Paul Thomas Anderson on the pod. If you're
Please.
listening,
Paul.
most likely you are. You're involved in the September sweeps. Come
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul. Let us know. Please. Um wow. So
Oh, I think it's me. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, I think so. I'm going
My
through.
favorite scene, in a way, it includes Ryan's least favorite scene. It's the fire at the oil rig, and it's yes, it's a crazy set piece, and there's so much chaos going on, and it's all filmed like perfectly. But Daniel Day-Lewis in that scene, just the calmness that he has, and one of my favorite lines is when Mance Raider comes over to him and is like,
Nice.
and he's like, is
That's where he's
H
from. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And HW is like, he's like, is HW okay? And he's just like, no, I don't believe he is. And like just
Yeah.
that like ice cold stare he has, it becomes night, it becomes day. They bring in the fire extinguishers, and that revelation that he has of how much oil is actually underneath the ground, if that's what's happening. He gives like obviously he gives a fuck about what's happening to HW, but what's going on under the ground, he just has that revelation like, I don't care how long this fucking thing burns, because there is an ocean of oil under here and it's going to make me incredibly rich. And I just loved the way that he played that scene and how all the chaos was going on around him, and he was just sitting there stoically and just doing the math in his head and understanding the situation that they were in. I just thought it was fantastic.
And I love that scene so much because like you kind of know something's about to happen to HW, but then when something does happen, then that score starts building up in the
Yeah.
background. And then it builds up even more when Daniel jumps out from where he is to run to HW. But even like you said, he's just a man's asks about HW and he's like, yeah, he's not gonna be okay. And then he's like, what do
Yeah.
you and he kind of looks at him, he's like, what are you looking so miserable for? Like you said, there's a whole
Yeah.
ocean of oil underneath here, and only I can get to it. And yeah, he doesn't. I'm sure he cares about HW, but in the moment, all he cares about is how much money he's about to make from this oil. So, and HW doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I mean, not off topic, but like why the fuck is anyone letting him like stick his face over the hole where oil's gonna potentially blow out of? I don't know, whatever. Kids will be kids.
He's an oil
He's a
boy.
stupid kid. Yeah,
Yeah. If Daniel's an oil man, HW's an oil boy.
That's right.
big oil guy.
Big oil guy. I mean, there's a lot of good scenes. I think, and I remember when I was watching it, I remember thinking like, ooh, this might be my favorite scene. And it's the scene when they um Fletcher and Daniel are just like, I forget what exactly they're doing. They're just like walking around the oil field. And Eli comes up to Daniel asking him about money. And basically, almost before his sentence ends, Daniel just slaps the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And like that whole scene with Daniel just fucking losing it on him, like instantaneously slapping him, pushing his face in the mud. But like it wasn't just about that, which I did love, was the way it was shot. I don't know. I just remember watching it and being like, wow, I really like this scene. Maybe it was because of Daniel's high boots. I don't know. But I really like that scene a lot. So I'm gonna pick that one because you guys took the other two that I was thinking.
I think it's
I
so
have,
good because I really believe that Daniel Lewis is actually slapping him.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how much
I'm
of
sure.
a insane actor he is.
Yeah.
And I love that scene as well because he calls him out. Daniel calls him out on his bullshit.
Yeah.
I forgot like word for word what he says, but basically he's implying, you know, where's your God now? It's like, why can't he heal my son's, from being
Yes.
deaf? And I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that because he saw him doing that bullshit arthritic scene with the old lady,
yeah.
and he's just calling him out. He's like, all right, well, why can't you heal my son?
Yeah. Yeah. What? And then Paul's or Eli's pathetic attempt to be like, well, this wouldn't have happened if you let me bless the
yeah.
oil well
Yeah,
and this and
yeah.
that. Like, so funny. But yeah,
Oh,
I just loved like this. He just snaps, starts smacking the shit out of him. And you're
The
right.
best.
Daniel Day Lewis was probably like to Paul Dano, like, listen, I'm gonna really slap you. And Paul Dano's like, all right, you're Daniel Day Lewis. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Bless me.
Yeah.
I'll go with one Ani mention now.
Please.
I'll just do one at a time because I'm sure I don't want to steal anybody's Ani mentions too. But my Ani mentions is the two scenes with the guys trying to buy the land from
Yeah.
Daniel, and especially the second one, the tension, and Daniel going from being in this great mood with getting HW back, and we're gonna have steaks, and and then they walk in and Daniel almost gets like forgot about. And he kind of does get forgotten about, and just how much that fucking drives him insane, and he can't take it, and he goes and gets the drinks, and he walks over, and he's like, in the guy's face and talking about something that everybody else at the table doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, but he's screaming in his face, takes his whiskey, drinks it. He puts the napkin over his face at one point. He's just out of fucking control. And you can see how much it's driving him crazy. And I love it. And like, again, with just the tension that builds in that scene where I kind of thought something like crazy was going to happen and he was going to like start swinging or like
Stab
fucking
him or
kill
something.
someone. Yeah. But that was just such a great scene too.
Two big steaks, some whiskey for me, some goat's milk, and I loved it too. He got so fucking angry. He goes up to the bar and he goes, "I believe we ordered these drinks before those gentlemen did," and he just gets so angry about that because his drinks had come out first. But why do you think he put the fucking napkin over his head? I'm still baffled by
Yeah, I
that.
don't know why he did
I
that.
just think because at one point I was like, is he concerned that like HW is going to read his lips? But I don't think so. I don't think he cares. Like HW knows everything that he knows when it comes to his business and everything like that. I just think he's just going fucking nuts, man. And it's just those little things that he does. And like there's a couple moments, like Robbie, you mentioned like his movements. I forget what scene it was, but he does like a little weird dance for no
Yeah.
reason, just like in the middle of a scene. I'm like, what is that? But dude, it's just, and there's so many thoughts on method acting, and we got a lot of that talk during Succession, but and I don't want to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what worked for him. But you gotta wonder how fucking great, like what
Bananas.
must your mind be like at that point where it's just completely consuming you. This character is completely taken over you as a person. And I think that's where you get those little things like the napkin over the face, or the weird dancing, the weird movements. And I think that's just attributed to just the way that whole character takes over him.
Yeah, I think we said it that Jeremy Strong was like an understudy or of Daniel Day-Lewis. That's where
Like
he gets it
assistant,
from,
yeah.
assistant or something like that. But I heard something where Daniel Day-Lewis was playing Macbeth, I think, on not Broadway, but on stage, maybe in London or whatnot. And he drove himself like insane to the point where he was like, I'm seeing like the ghost of Macbeth in my sleep or something like that. And he just fucking vanished and he didn't do the play no more or something like that. He just drove himself completely insane, like an absolute psychopath. But that I think the scene where you talk about where he like just dances was in the bowling alley scene where he comes back with the milkshake thing. It's just some of his movements. I mean,
He definitely
that's
does it in that scene, but it's like it's somewhere in the middle of the movie, the one that I'm talking about. It's like a weird, like like he always like
Like a
dances.
shimmy.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's a shame. Like obviously, like we said, it takes such a toll on him to the point with Macbeth, and to the point where he quit acting in '97 after, was it Boxing Man or Boxing Day, whatever movie he was in. Like he quit acting then
was the
too,
fight. No, it wasn't the fighter.
or the boxer or something like
The
that. Like
boxer, I think, something like that.
So yeah, I mean, this is the second time he's quit acting, and you see how much that takes a toll on him.
He'll be back.
Just
Psychopaths will be back.
I was talking to Anthony today. I was like, what do you think his comeback movie is going to be? Because at some point he's coming back.
Yeah.
And have you seen pictures of him recently?
Nah.
Wild. Like long white hair,
Really?
just like trucker hat, and like scraggly like he is. I was saying, what not that I think he's getting prepared for all. I think he's just being a mountain man at this point, but like I wonder what pulls him back, because he's doing at least one more film before he dies.
Oh yeah.
I think he like quit and like made shoes in like Italy for like 3 years, like a fucking lunatic and things like that. Like it's
I
just
think
insane.
he got into like camping and hunting and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Wow,
like
yeah, he
I
looks
was
like
like
a fucking weirdo.
I was listening to a podcast and they said that when he was doing Last of the Mohicans, he was like trying to help like the builders build the set and he was fucking up so bad. They were like, "Hey guy, go.
Stop it.
Get out of here. Like we got this."
They
It
gave
was
him a
like
little
shit
like,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah, like one of them
they
plastic like kid fucking hammers and tell him to
yeah
go build.
yeah yeah, go build this erector set,
Yeah.
make a TP.
It's it's so insane to me. But I mean, you don't get, I mean, it's crazy, but you don't get these type of performances if that's not who he is. And I mean, like you said, seeing him just slowly go insane in this movie, it's funny, it's sad, but it's also funny because it's crazy. Like case in point to like your honorable mention scene, it's just a fantastic scene.
Yeah. Any other Ani mentions before I steal some more?
I want to throw out the opening scene. Him in the hole, digging for silver, getting hurt. I loved the first couple of scenes of this movie where you get completely like where this guy came from, like in just a couple of short scenes. It's like he's a miner, he's by himself, he slowly gets some money together and then finds oil and then starts building up and building up and building up, and then by the time he gets to I guess with Paul, he's he's kind of on his way, but that was his big score, is it was that one.
I have two. I'll just do one right now because I don't want to steal Benny's if he has one. It's the competition scene. It's just like you said, Ryan, like the first 14, 18 minutes or whatever shows you who he is and what he's built and the character that he is. This shows you, how evil he is and what he will do to succeed. And I don't know, man. I have some quotes here. I just find it so like I have a competition in me. I want no one else to succeed. I hate most people. I'll join the club, Daniel. And I just think that's so funny. Like I thought it was such a great scene to show you, who he is. He's like, I don't want to talk about these things. I see the worst in people. I don't need to look past seeing them to get all I need. I've built my hatreds over the years, little by little. It's just a beautiful, not beautiful, but I mean, it just shows you who he is. And I
Yeah.
think that's who most people are. I think that's the Zuckerbergs now and the Musks. That's just who they are. They're just driven by competition and wanting to just be the best and get everybody else out of here. And if you're on my side, fantastic. If you're not, then you're just, you're part of the competition and I'm trying to wipe you out.
Yeah, great scene. For me, my second honorable mention is the baptism scene. When Daniel gets baptized, it's just fucking out of control. It's, he is just like at his most psychopathic, and just some of the lines he said, like I said, that's where I got some of the George Steinbrenner stuff. But I abandoned my child, I abandoned my boy, just incredible. You could see like him grinding his teeth through the whole thing just to get through it, just so he can get what he wants. Like always, doesn't matter what it is, if he has to do it, he's gonna do it. Yeah, just again, just two great actors going at it in that scene.
And he mentions that under his breath too,
Yeah.
about getting the
Yeah.
what the hell is it? The pipeline.
Yeah. I
But
actually rewound that scene and turned on the subtitles because I wanted to, like, if I was like, did he say the pipeline? And yeah, good catch.
I want to ask you a question, and maybe Ryan after my honorable mention, but my other honorable mention is when he finds out that Henry is a fraud and about the Petrie dance, but just the way it's fucking shot in the ocean
Love
and
it.
the glare he's staring at, he's like, this motherfucker. He's like, I
Yeah.
trusted this. Yeah, it's like I found him out. And just the way it's shot
Oh,
is amazing
shit.
with the waves crashing.
That one's so
And
good.
you just get the camera, like the camera's coming up with the waves and it just focuses on Daniel's face and he's so fucking angry.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so stupid. I didn't realize that's how he figured it out.
Ah.
I'm so dumb.
Did you
Oh,
think he
Ryan,
figured it?
Ryan, end the podcast, please.
I don't know. I was like, why did that line turn him? You know what it was? I think it was Henry like kept putting his head down, like he was just almost done with the conversation. Where I was more concerned with like, why is Henry acting like that than why. I almost thought Daniel was like, why is this dude being a fucking weirdo? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back into the ocean and like kind of try to figure out what the fuck is going on with him. I'm so dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb. Kenny, that was for you.
And it's just the intensity on his face. I love that you get so much without saying anything. And I thought it was unbelievable.
That's a good call. That scene is amazing. And I love that when he figures out the Peachtree dance and just his fucking face. He's just like, this motherfucker. All right. And then I forgot about that. And when I saw that, and I was like, all right, what is he at? He's got to ask him something else to try and suss him out. And yeah, then the next scene was what a good scene.
Damn.
Oh, then you see his absolute vitriol and hatred for him in the next scene.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. I'm ready. I'm gonna not blow you away, but it's over for you.
Yeah.
You guys have any more?
Probably, but if you have more, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
What did I have? Just the first time he, gives his "I'm an oil man" speech.
Yeah.
Right, a true snake oil salesman, a true politician. And saying anything, using young HW as a pawn to show people that he's a true family man. Basically giving people, you guys don't have any bread. Bread's the best. I'll get you bread. I'll get you all this. We'll have this up and running. The best schools, this and that. Said like what any true politician will say to get some votes. And again,
Yep.
each scene basically is just showing you who he is throughout the movie, and I just love every bit of that.
Yeah. I also love the first place he was gonna do the "I'm an oil man" speech, and then he realized that they were fractured. He was just like, I'm out of here.
I'm out.
See you later.
Yeah. I don't care how much money you give me. I'm done.
Yeah. I'm not dealing with this bullshit, which is, I mean, smart.
I know you guys haven't seen it. And I'm not going to say why, but the oil man speech, and not because there's any speech like this in the movie, but it was giving me vibes of Oppenheimer, just about one specific part of the movie. Yeah, like I said, I mean, between The Aviator and Oppenheimer, there were just so many like movies that this made me think of, and I maybe that's why I liked it so much, is because of all the vibes that I was getting from the movie. But it was. I can't wait till you guys watch Oppenheimer, because I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that too.
Yeah, agree.
I think what's name said. He said, I'm an atom bomb man." That was
Yeah,
a speech,
that
right?
was it.
Oh, okay.
That's how. Yeah, yeah. Him and Albert Einstein walked in together holding hands.
Figured that.
This is my
I forgot to
son,
mention,
Albert.
and I forgot to mention, huge dialogue movie. And so I loved about it as well. So there it is. But I wanted
Yeah.
to ask a question. I don't know what your guys' favorite acting performances are of all time, but like, where do you rate this Daniel Day-Lewis performance?
Very high.
Very
I
high.
think if you put a gun to my head right now, I think my favorite acting performance of all time is Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. I think that would be it for me. Just like again, another movie like right from the beginning where I'm just like locked in. All the different languages he speaks in the movie, just his character, his cockiness, the way he snivels at the end. It's just, that's probably why it's, if you're going to ask me what my favorite movie is, I would say that. But yeah, I think that's my number one, but this is definitely up there for me.
Yeah, agree. I don't know if I could definitely say like I need to think about it, but this is definitely like, yeah, top 5, top 10, like for sure. It's so good. I mean, maybe eclipsed by a handful of performances. It's a very good performance. Yeah, I don't know. Probably his best. I mean, I love, Last Mohicans was good. Gangs of New York he was very good in. I haven't seen all of his movies, I don't believe, but pretty much most of them. Yeah, I don't know.
It made
Would
me
you?
want to go. It made me want to go back and rewatch Lincoln. It made me want to watch Gangs of New York. Obviously, um, something about the name of a movie being My Left Foot just makes me feel weird. But I mean, from what I've seen and read, I mean, a lot of people say that might be his best performance. But I definitely want to at some point soon do a Daniel Day week, because I'd be pumped to watch any of those movies. But Robbie, what do you think? Like, where does this rank for you?
Oh my God, definitely top 10, top 5. Like I said before, like I agree with you. Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. I think DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street is just top notch. If I'm doing like obviously like Pacino and De Niro in Godfather, or De Niro in like Raging Bull, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's definitely in my top 10. I'm trying to think, but like Christoph Waltz is up there, man. I just loved everything about him in that movie. But again, like DiCaprio and Wolf of Wall Street, he's just on it from fucking start to finish. It's just a tour de force. I love him in that movie. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but this is up there. We should have like a best actor draft, or like best fake actor draft in like movies.
We should. We definitely
Just
should.
like, yeah, like picking like um Jules Winfield like in the 5th round or something like that, like shit like that.
Oh my God,
Wow,
sleeper pick.
that's
Uh,
that's a good value pick. His ADP is typically higher than that.
I think his ADP in Diamond Leagues was like third. He was getting picked like
Yeah.
third round. But even then, you mentioning Leo and Wolf of Wall Street makes me think of Leo in Django.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
how fucking crazy he is in that movie. So,
he's a lunatic.
uh, any more honorable mentions?
No, we're just gonna
No.
say the whole movie at this point.
I know, really.
Um,
That's the thing. Like, there's so many good scenes in this movie. Like, I feel like leaving anything out is a fucking crime.
yeah. No, just I mean, especially, with you guys giving it tens, like the whole movie is your favorite scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I hit play to when I fucking turned it off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we have anything, but is there anything you guys could think of to have made this movie better?
Give me another 30 minutes. That's going to be the first time I
Yeah.
say this. Give me another 30. I would have been locked in. Not
Yeah.
necessarily, didn't have to be at the end. It
Could have been
could have
anywhere.
been, yeah, like throughout the movie, I would have been all in to get more of the story.
Yeah. Although I agree. Another, couple scenes or whatever. I The ending was so perfect, but I love to know what happens. I I I don't think if you added on anything to this ending, it would have made it better. But I do love to know, like when movies do the like, and then
The
Daniel
text.
Plainview went to college and got his dream job, or like
Yeah.
something stupid like that. But yeah, I think more would probably be better, and like usually it's less, but this one definitely could have done more. Or could have had more, and I would have still loved it.
Yeah. It's funny you say like that you need to know because I'm the same way. Like I always want to know, like, well,
Always
then what
want to know.
happened?
Yeah.
Then what happened? But I think that I changed with that a little bit with Pulp Fiction and
Okay.
not knowing what was in the briefcase and
Right.
just kind of reading about the theory, about like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What's in the briefcase makes
Doesn't
no
matter.
difference to the story. Like, what's important. That's all you need to know.
Right.
And that kind of like, I think normally I would have been not annoyed with this ending, but like you said, like I need to know what happens. Yeah, I have my idea of what happened, but I'm completely fine not knowing. Like that's it. That's the story. That's what you get.
There. Robbie, any thoughts?
Give me like 3 more hours of Daniel Day-Lewis. Give me a 5 hour movie of just him just bowling next to a deceased Eli Sunday, and just
Imagine,
talking to him while he's going mad.
imagine that was like the credit scene is him just bowling while his dead body lays there, like just
Yeah, just
calmly bowling.
like weekend at Daniels, and just have Eli as the dead body, and he's just carrying around talking to him.
The only thing that would have made the ending better is if instead of saying I'm finished, is the butler walks in and he says, Mr. Daniel, and he goes, "Who do you think you are?" I am.
Even better.
Oh man. All right. Well, I do know of a way that we could make this movie better, and it's if we cast a young Matt Damon in a role in this film, whether it's a role that exists or one that we invent. So, shall we play America's favorite and fastest growing game?
Let's do it.
All right. Uh, let's play Cast Matt Damon, you cocksuckers.
We got it. We got the name.
That's it.
Um, Benny, you want to go first or?
Sure.
All right,
So I'll tie this into my how can I make this movie better?
please.
We make it longer. And
Okay.
instead of Paul Dano playing Paul Sunday, Matt Damon plays Paul Sunday, and we just get a couple more scenes with him in it. How about that?
I love it.
Love
It's
it.
not, listen, it's not the best one I've come up with, but I would have liked it.
I love it. Robbie, would you like to go? Or would you like me to go?
Sure. Give me a young, lean, not so clean 19th century, 20th century Matt Damon, dirty, not so preteen. We're gonna cast some of the character not seen in this movie, but kind of implied and talked about. Give me Matt Damon as John D. Rockefeller, and
Oh,
just give me a couple scenes of him and Daniel going toe to toe. Standard Oil versus Daniel's oil company, and just fighting over a couple pieces of land to make this movie about a 3.5 hour epic. Matt Damon is as John D. Rockefeller going up toe to toe with Daniel Day-Lewis, even though I think he'd get his bees blown off in a scene with the god Daniel Day. So yeah, give me Matt Damon, young, lean, uh, probably
probably mean.
smelly teen. Yeah, mean, smelly
Oily.
teen, oily, greasy, uh,
Money
smelling like
fiend.
money fiend, smelling like musk, probably riding on an elephant tusk, as John D. Rockefeller.
Fantastic.
All right, I'm gonna cast a young, strong, smart, capable, virile Matt Damon as Frank Sunday, the third brother
Okay.
Nice.
So it's not actually twins. It's fraternal triplets. I don't know if that's a thing, but Paul and Eli look exactly the same, but Frank looks like Matt Damon. And Frank comes in.
Sexy.
Yeah, just sexy. Not that Paul Dano's not sexy. He's sexy. Paul, I know you're listening. Come on.
Please.
And Frank Sunday actually also tries to get money from him, but they lose, and he kills him with the bowling ball instead of a bowling pin.
Because he wants to go to Harvard.
Harvard. I just need $5,000 to go to Harvard. Think about this when we didn't talk about this, but fucking Eli rolls up to Daniel's house and says, I want $100K in 1927 for the land rights to the fucking the area that's already been drained. Like $100K. And then of course, plus the $5K you still owe me
Yeah.
with interest.
With interest.
What a
What an
fucking
asshole.
Cheap bastard.
I drink his milkshake too. That motherfucker.
Benny, did you think there was a trick going on when you saw Paul Dano again as Eli?
No, because I just thought they looked very similar. I didn't realize until after when I saw that he played both. I just thought they did a good job casting him.
As
Yeah.
Roger Ebert said, pudding face Paul Dano.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah, he said it kind of pudding face.
Is it Roger Ebert a fat slob?
Well, he used to be dead, and like he had like half of his jaw removed as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I forgot
shit.
about that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
like cancer or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but
Well, he was still very fat.
yeah.
I mean, you're not lying.
Why are you calling people pudding face? I don't get it. That is a funny insult, though.
It is.
All right, Roger, you're back. That's a funny insult. All right. Anyway, one last fun fact I want to give you guys about this movie is the infamous milkshake scene was actually pulled from transcripts of the Teapot Dome scandal. I don't know if you guys
Really?
read that. Yeah.
Yes, I heard that.
Interesting. I thought that was
Did not
funny.
know that.
My favorite named scandal, Teapot Dome scandal.
Oh, it's so
what a
great.
name.
One of the best
So
of all
great.
time.
Phil, I know you're listening. Come on the show and tell us about the Teapot Dome scandal. Anything else that we want to talk about with There Will Be Blood that we didn't talk
Yeah, I have one more quick mention of a scene.
Please.
It is the blessing of the rig with Mary.
Oh,
And you
so
just
good.
and you just see Eli there waiting to get called up.
Stewing.
And he just fucking Danza just fucking sticks it to him. And he knows that he's sticking it to him, and Eli knows he's getting it stuck to him, and he just slinks away like a little bitch afterwards. Fantastic.
Love it.
Amazing.
Do you think that Eli maybe sabotaged the derrick to make it blow up or go on fire because he got snaked?
No, but he definitely had that look on him like,
Yeah, he was gonna.
yeah, I did that.
Yeah. Oh, there was nobody happier in the world
No.
than Eli when that thing went on fire because he was just like, see, should have had me bless it.
Yeah.
Also, young HW, psychopath or not?
Possible.
Almost burning the house down.
Yeah, we didn't talk
we
about
didn't
that.
talk about that.
What was he trying to do? Was he trying to kill him?
I think he was trying to kill the fake plain view
I think so too.
because it was his bed that it went to.
Yeah, that's true.
And he chases him around and he just carries him on his hip like a fucking running back.
Oh man, he was so good, man.
It was so
Daniel
funny
Day.
when he like walks out of the house and just catches his breath for like 10 seconds and then just goes after him.
I'm so glad that this won because it's so much better. I mean, Boogie Nights is fantastic. And I love the movie as well, but just on his performance alone, it's just so much better.
Yeah.
I honestly went into this week not knowing what I wanted to watch. I think I did vote for There Will Be Blood. But yeah, I'm definitely glad. Oh, no,
Well, I think you voted for Punch Drunk.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think I voted for Punch Drunk Love, but when it came down to these two, this was the one I wanted to watch. So I'm so happy this one,
Yeah.
obviously.
No, this is the best of the three. I love all three of them. Boogie Nights, I love that one. Maybe we'll watch it. I don't know. I feel like I don't, you know what? I don't want to say anything just in case we watch any of these. But I love all three, but There Will Be Blood is the best one of the three. All right. Anything else?
Maybe I'll give Boogie Nights a 10-inch.
Oh,
We'll go from
Yeah,
plums
that's too.
to
That's
eggplant.
too small.
yeah.
That's too
Yeah.
small.
You'll understand when you see it.
Yeah. Okay.
So anything else about There Will Be Blood or anything in general?
No,
Uh,
I'm so glad that you saw this movie, Benny, and enjoyed it as much
Yes.
as you did because it's so great.
yeah.
Agree.
Definitely very happy once this movie ended.
Nice.
You're an oil man, that's why.
I
That's
really
right.
am. I've been saying it for years. Nobody believed me.
I couldn't believe it. I always thought you were an oil man, but after this, it's definitely true.
Is that what we're
Uh,
saying for being a greasy Italian?
yeah, I was
You're
gonna
an
say I
oil man?
doused myself in olive oil right after the movie ended.
He had pizza drippings all over his fucking guinea tea.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We love you. Join us next week. Make sure you vote. It's your last chance to get in the sweeps. We'll announce the winner, I guess, on the next show. And I guess that's it. Robbie, tell him good night.
Good night, H.M. Tilford. One night, I'm going to come to you inside of your house, wherever you're sleeping, and I'm going to cut your throat.
Yeah, I mean that's how else are you gonna end it other than that?
What a psycho. I fucking love it.